Welcome to ReEnvision, the podcast where we explore what truly happens when we embrace change as one of life's most profound rhythms. I'm your host, Bédard, and together we will embark on a transformative journey, finding joy and happiness amid life's shifts while strengthening our hearts, cultivating our resilience, nurturing the courage to evolve and to uncover our own ability to thrive and move forward. Here, we have full permission to be ourselves, to explore, to discuss, and to simply be. We'll tap into the deep knowing that has always been within as we navigate change with simplicity, lightness, and fluidity, open to new understandings, new perspectives, and even new possibilities. So whether you're seeking inspiration, empowerment, or simply a space to reflect and contemplate, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to this first episode of the ReEnvision Podcast. I am so grateful to actually finally embrace this project that I've had for so many years. I have been toying around creating a podcast for years now, and this year it just came upon me that it was the time, that it was the right place, that it was the right medium for me to embrace the next step in my journey. So this is it, and I'm really excited. And I wanted to start to just tell you how this project for me is both exciting and terrifying at the same time. Like a lot of things in life, when we actually move into a new territory, when we're embracing a change, when we're actually getting into a new project, there's always this duality of excitement that drives us and that allows us to actually go forward and to really embrace that change, but holding those fears and holding those other sides holding us back. And I'm not holding myself back anymore. So there you go. Today is the first episode, and while I was actually creating the podcast and the first episode and I was writing, I was thinking about what would be the first one that would be the most powerful for you to get into my world in a way that is powerful, in a way that is really diving into the core of the subject, the core of why I'm doing this. And one of the things that actually is interesting is that the first episode is like a pilot, right? It's like when you start, when there's a show that comes out, a TV show that comes out, and you're watching a pilot, and it has to give you enough juice in one episode for you to want to watch the other ones. But at the same time, how do we boil down and pick out the minimum stuff, the essential stuff for the listeners to actually get into and see that there's so many other depths to a story? So as I was thinking about that, I was actually going into my timeline and I was really honing down what is the biggest change in my life that has not only impacted me going forward, the trajectory of where I was thinking I was going, but also impacted my understanding of what happened before and the behaviors before and how to shift them going forward would actually, without a doubt, be when my mother passed away from metastatic breast cancer. Now, my mother passed away from breast cancer in April 2010. The reason why I'm saying this is the moment that actually changed everything, it's because grieving changes everything. And losing somebody changes everything. Losing somebody you love changes everything. For those of you that actually have or are going through the process of grieving and mourning, you definitely know what I'm talking about. But even if you actually hadn't have a big loss in your life, you can relate to what I'm saying in some sort of way. And this is why I wanted to share a little bit of how it actually impacted the way I see the world. Now, my mother passed away in 2010 in April, at the end of April. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in her right breast in the fall of 2008. And then she embarked in a 6 months chemotherapy period, followed by a full mastectomy of her breast and radiotherapy. And that was actually the part that we went through with the cancer itself. But when the cancer came back, it came back with a vengeance at the end of 2009. And at the end of 2009, we actually got the diagnosis that the cancer was everywhere in her body, and that there was no cure. We were only going to go into palliative care, which would actually either prolong her life or make her as comfortable as we could. And a lot of people actually, like, when you do have a death sentence like this, a lot of people are actually like, and I remember my mom saying this, like, I'm not afraid of dying. I am not afraid of dying. In March 2010, she was scheduled to enter a clinical trial for palliative care. But her condition had declined so much that she could not get into the clinical trial, but on top of it, she had to be hospitalized. And the following week were the week where she put things in order. She spent around 2-3 weeks at the hospital before coming out. She had so many visitors that came to see her and had discussions with her during that period of time. They all told me years later that that conversation had changed them. That conversation, the way that she spoke about life in general, was just amazing. My mom was a life lover. And in the last bit of her life, I think that her purpose had kind of changed, and she wanted to impart some of that wisdom to people around her. And that's what she did during those 2-3 weeks. And when she got enough better that she could come back home, we asked her if she wanted to come back home or if she wanted to stay at the hospital. And she said, I would like to come back home if it's okay with you guys. And my father and I, we said, yeah, of course, we want you at home. So we installed a hospital bed in the living room, and she spent the last 1 or 2 weeks at home. I think it was about 2 weeks. And in the meantime, my husband, that was my boyfriend at the time, he had come back from a contract in the Maldives around the 3rd of April. I remember because it was beginning of April and it was just in time for Easter. And he had subletted his apartment, and so we were kind of like retaking the apartment, and I was officially moving in with him into his apartment. So we're spending a lot of time there, like repainting and arranging everything in the apartment. And at the end of the day, when I was calling my mom to see if she wanted me to bring her anything, because she had a lot of difficulty eating at that point, and I just wanted to, check up on her and see if I could bring her something that would lift her up. And that one night she asked for, I think it was Jell-O and pudding, like specific brand. So I came back from doing the groceries, and when I came back, I put everything in the fridge and I went to see her in the living room where she was sitting down. At that point, she was still able to move from the bed that was in the living room. We have it like a large double room, living room, to the couch. And she looked so small because not only she lost all that weight, but she was just a fraction of the woman that she was, and of the greatness and the presence that she was. And I sat next to her and asked her how was her day, and she asked me this question that stays with me until today. Why? And I looked at her and I'm like, what do you mean why? Why what? What do you mean, Mom? And then she said, why me? I read that 90% of the women that have breast cancer survive. Why am I not in that 90%? And then I looked at her and I looked her into the eyes, and my reflex was not to answer why she was not in the 90%. My answer was, why is there still 10? Why is there still 10% of women that have breast cancer that don't survive? Now, these statistics were ballpark back then. They might have changed today, and it also has a whole bunch of variable and different survival rates. And since then, it's been over a decade now, there has been tremendous scientific advancement in therapy for breast cancer specifically, but all kinds of cancer. point of matter is not really whether it was really a 90-10 or whatever, but the point was just that she was saying that most women survive, and she was asking me, her daughter, why she was not one of the survivors. And that question haunted me for a long time. She died a few days later. When you lose somebody, you actually do ask yourself why. Why? Why her? She was such a good person. Why her? Why? I filled around that question for a long time. And through the grieving process, something happened. I've been talking over the years to people that either accompanied people through the last days, or had discussion with people that were in the last days, or read a lot of things. And yes, the fear of death is something, but the recurring theme is, I'm not done. When people are arriving at the end of their life, and it doesn't matter, that's what I observe. It doesn't matter whether they're 25, 40, 50, 80, they all have the same, well, I'm not done. I'm not done. And that is a theme that actually kept on coming back. And I've been reflecting upon this for a long time and a lot, because I think that transition from the living to the dying is, of course, it's final, but it's also precious. And it kind of like celebrates the end of a life in the most personalized way. That's why death doulas exist. That's why we have so many cultural attachment to end of life rituals, not only for the dying, but also for the ones that are actually like for the surviving people, for the people that are losing, for the people that move forward and helps them through the grieving process. But the living, what I actually learned about the experience was all the regrets of things that we should have done, that we thought that we had more time, that we should have followed our dream and follow our heart and not get pulled back by what people were going to think or what people were going to say. But the thing is, how do we make the time that we have work for us? How do we make the time bring us that life's full potential? And so many times we're staying small, and we're staying in the fears instead of going boldly, instead of saying, okay, like I'm afraid, but I can do this. I can do this, and I can actually walk, and I can live my life the way that I want to live my life. And the more abundance that I have within me, the more it's going to shine on other people around me. In 2012, so my mom died in 2010, 2012, there's a retired palliative nurse that wrote a book. Her name is Bronnie Ware. You can actually find her book. It's the top 5 regrets of the dying. I'll leave the book in the show notes. And when it came out in 2012 and I actually read, and I was like, well, yeah, of course. I know that. I know because I've been with somebody that actually was in the end of life. But the thing is, the 5 regrets can be summoned in one. So if I'm reading to you what the 5 regrets are. Regret number 1. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. The thing is, all these regrets, they all come down to the same thing. I wish I had lived my life. I wish I had loved more, connected more, lived more, explore more, be daring. I wish I would have let myself thrive. So when I was thinking about the things that really changed my life and why I wanted to talk to you about this today. I could not talk about how losing my mother really impacted the way that I see life. And every single time I have something that is bubbling inside, that I have a project that I'm like, oh, that is exciting. When the voice is inside, when the fears inside, when the doubts, whenever, no, I can't do this or I can't do that, whenever those voices coming, I'm like, you know what? At the end of this journey, would I be happier if I had chosen to go and do the thing? Or do I want to say, I wish I had done the thing? So in this podcast, I want to bring you that. I want you to feel like you can do the thing. What I want to do is to create a space where I can share that, not only for you, the listener, but also for me, as a remembrance of what I have learned from her. And when I think about why today, that question that she asked me, why, is because she gave me life a second time. When I think about that why that she asked me today, and how I have thought about and grew and evolved and navigated life's obstacle and chased my dreams, finding meaning into what happened to her and me and how it shifted everything, I find myself answering the why. I find myself answering the why in a way that I didn't even think that was possible, and in a way that I didn't even allow myself to actually think. But the truth of the matter is, my mother gave life to me when I was born, physically, and when she left, she gave birth to me a second time in all the other aspects of myself. So in a sense, she gave me life twice. Thank you for being part of today's ReEnvision episode, where we explore the incredible journey of embracing change as one of life's most profound rhythms. As the seasons of life shift, we hold the power to navigate our path with courage, intuition, and wisdom. Embrace change with an open heart, for within lies the potential of a remarkable growth and evolution. If you know someone who would benefit from this conversation, I'd be honored if you shared it with them and spread the love. If this podcast has resonated with you, please subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a heartfelt review, and share it on social media. You can stay connected with me on social media with the handle @ME_Lifestyle_Design, where I continue to share insights and inspiration. Until our next encounter, keep exploring, embracing change, and finding joy in every moment. And remember to always keep re-envisioning your life with love and purpose. I love you, I see you, I feel you. Take care.